Well, nobody is talking too much about last Friday's debate between Arizona Senator John McCain and Illinois Senator Barack Obama. But I guess with the failure of the $700 billion bailout of Wall Street, most people are concerned with that, and the stock markets have definitely shown the results of the investors' reaction to Congress's failure to bail out Wall Street. The Senate is continuing to meet and debate the bill, and last I heard is they're wondering whether the Senate will pass it and will shame the House of Representatives into passing that bill, but only time will tell. In my opinion, one of the most significant aspects of the McCain-Obama debate that seems to have been overlooked was a statement that Mr. Obama made about Russia not being a democracy. Now, this is perfectly true, of course, but I believe this is the first time I've heard an American politician in this century admit that the post-Soviet Russian Federation is no longer a democracy. Mr. Obama made this statement when John McCain was once again enunciating his ideas of having a league of democracies take decision in lieu of the failure of the United Nations to do anything concrete in the world. And Barack Obama replied, well, we can have the democracies on side, but in order to really do anything in the world, we do need the cooperations of countries like Russia and China, neither of which is a democracy. Now, of course, China has never been a democracy in its history, except for a very brief period under the rule of President Sun Yat-sen. The rest of the time it has either been an empire ruled by an emperor or a dictatorship ruled by a crook like Chiang Kai-shek, or a bunch of communist rogues like Mao Zedong. And since the advent of Deng Xiaoping, of course, China has been ruled by a bunch of economic fascist rogues. And they're communist in name only. When you look at China today, really what it is not a communist Marxist economy, but rather a fascist economy. But the surprise, of course, of the evening, as far as I'm concerned, was Obama's statement that Russia is not a democracy, because throughout the 1990s, people were hailing Russia as a new democracy, and to a certain extent, this was true. But ever since Vladimir Putin has come to power, we've seen opposition newspapers shut down, independent television stations shut down, independent radio stations shut down, reporters who have criticized Putin either being beaten or killed or disappearing mysteriously. All of this happening, of course, is not the hallmarks of a democracy. And of course, further proof of this can be seen back in the year 2005, when then Russian President Vladimir Putin established what he called the Sergius Project. Now, not many in the West are aware of the Sergius Project. The Sergius Project was named after Saint Sergius of Radonezhe, who was a 14th century Russian monk and saint. His feast day is, interestingly enough, in the Western Church, is celebrated on September 26, which, interestingly enough, is the same day that Barack Obama made this statement that Russia is not a democracy. Now, how this project got to be named after St. Sergius of Radonezhe is St. Sergius of Radonezhe is one of the many patron saints of Russia, but he is the patron saint who is considered the eternal protector of Russia. So that is why this project was named after him. Now, what the Sergius Project is about is that Putin established is it deals with a certain branch of the Russian Orthodox Church that believes that Moscow is the third Rome. The first Rome, of course, being Rome, which fell in 476 AD. The second Rome, of course, being Constantinople, which fell in 1453 AD, and since a niece of the last Byzantine emperor married one of the Russian rulers of Muscovy, that is how Moscow came to be considered the Third Rome by some. Not all people in the Orthodox Church or Russian Orthodox Church are obsessed with this idea. Many Russian Orthodox actually worship Christ as God rather than worshiping Moscow as the Third Rome. But sadly, there is a substantial wing of the Russian Orthodox Church that does worship Moscow as the Third Rome. Now, the theological, philosophical teaching behind this Sergius project, which current Russian Prime Minister Vladimir Putin established when he was president of Russia back in 2005, and a doctrine which he adheres to, is the belief that it is Russia's eternal destiny established by God to rule the nations of the world, and Russia must rule the nations of the world until the second coming of Christ. So this is a very dangerous idea that Russia must rule the world, and the fact that we've got the leader of Russia, Vladimir Putin, as being the one who established this idea as a geopolitical policy of Russia back in 2005, it must be taken a look at seriously. In the meantime, we've got various people saying we don't want a new Cold War with Russia. Well, when you look at the philosophical underpinnings of the Sergius doctrine, there's more than a potential Cold War going on here. There is a potential hot war, as I'm sure the other countries in the world do not want to be ruled by Russia until the second coming of Christ.